I often wondered who was standing alone beside the stream. I lacked that certain understanding for people in a dream. I never could see why they left reality till I too was standing by the stream.
A gathering storm, a dark horizon, a tidal wave, an avalanche, a gargantuan force which engulfs you, swallowing you whole, showing no mercy, disappearing into its jaws. Devoid of light, a prison cell, a feeling of being punished, no way out, no chink of light. Time has no meaning in this dark world. The hands of the clock have stopped. It's like a living death. Fortunately, I am a tsunami survivor, but the scars from the trauma remain.
I stood on the crags and tempted God. I'm going to jump, catch me if you can. I wish I could say his spirit entered me, led me gently from the precipice. But God was nowhere when I called his name, because I didn't want an answer. So I jumped 100 feet or so, landed fully conscious on the snow. And I don't know if you could call my fall a miracle. Prayer was not the first thing on my lips. The thud had winded me so bad I summoned death with all my might. Then some voices in the distance, fast approaching. Students flinging snowballs, shrieking with the thrill of being alive. A sudden silence as they saw me. God was listening now. They called for help, and I was stretchered down the mountain path to face the wrath of sanity I'd left behind. I stood on the crags 1 year later, whispered, "Thank you." Nobody was listening but the wind.
So I went into the funny farm. It might have been at night. I really can't remember, for I really wasn't right. I'm in here, in this loony bin. Seems no one outside cared. Alone and isolated, cold, distraught and scared. Those people all around you, they suffer just the same. Depression and anxiety, cursed with a different name. Alone I sit and wallow in a pain you cannot see, a deep, dark, sad depression that gnaws away at me. You only see the bad things, you cannot see the good. Gave up all my hobbies, gave up eating food. Never ate a solid fortnight, nae breakfast, lunch, nor tea. Could only take in liquids, enough to sustain me. They never even noticed, nae appetite to say. Consultant told my missus that I'd even put on weight. So I'm locked up in the funny farm, no knowing who was who. People marching round and round, all dressed the same as you. There was great staff, there was bad staff. There's bad apples everywhere. Some just paid their mortgage, others seemed to care. There was one a verbal bully, I wish that I could name. A thing I stood and witnessed, like to put that git to shame. He was on the tablet trolley and I was standing in the line, but his comments to a patient still chilled these bones of mine. Big laddie, he came running. His problem couldn't wait. Poor soul, I seen in pieces. The next bit does frustrate. I need something for my voices, nurse. His reply was out of order. The only thing I can give you, son's a feckin' tape recorder. Seen one nurse, a big strong bully, pull a woman through the air. She had sat out in the garden, but he pulled her out that chair. 10 folk had sat and seen it. That nurse, he didn't care. Know the kind of treatment you'd expect to get in there. So I made a sarky comment that night, then went to bed. Next day I'm in the office, and this is what was said. You never saw the first part, Glenn. You only saw the end. There's much more to the story and what happened to your friend. But it's a psychiatric unit. We're entitled patient care. A caring arm around you, not to pull you through the air. 10 of us had saw it, and 2 marched off in tears. Complaint about a bully had landed on deaf ears. I've called the place the funny farm, but that isn't strictly true. Some in there would rant and rave. They'd scare the breeks off you. Schizophrenic or bipolar or some other mental name, an illness thrust upon them. It isn't them to blame. One woman was a princess, another man a queen. Some were just dead scary inside that Ward 18. Some geezer on a trumpet, but he only played one note. Another in the corner, lines for Shakespeare he would quote. Others, they seemed normal, but at night you heard their screams. Past came back to haunt them, no chance of peaceful dreams. One woman was a lady, had servants, butler too, went about in jogging suits and spoke like me and you. Another was a prophet, his orders came from God. Took drugs that make your mind bend and was an alcoholic sod. Then there was the pop star, young lassie near 19. 16 worldwide number ones, all o'er the world she'd been. So I was in a month, then out again. I was barely in my door. Felty bits of jelly, in for 3 weeks more. Another phase of madness had enveloped me, crawling through a tunnel in which I could not see. There's folk outside that really cared, but depression, I'm its host. The love that floats around you, can't see it 'cause you're lost.
So far, we have only had brief glimpses into Matthew's alternative reality. Just as normality is defined as that which the majority consider normal, so it is with reality when society reaches a general consensus about what is real. Take the Soviet Union under communism, for example. As we know, Matthew's drug, haloperidol, which was once used to tranquilize horses, as well as to dissuade parrots from plucking out their feathers, came to be used in the West to treat schizophrenia and manic depression. In Russia, the same drug was used to attempt to cure dissidents of capitalist thinking. We can assume that the thinking of true communists was, how could anyone possibly want any other kind of utopia? What could be wrong with seeking equality for all? Anyone who wanted more than his neighbour clearly needed such deviant thoughts expunged from his psyche. Contrasting the capitalist and communist excuses for administering this drug, one might suspect that, like most medication, it was not designed as a therapeutic treatment for the psychotic individual, but rather as a means of control. Certainly, its widespread use in institutions is legendary. How much easier it is to manage the sick when they are heavily sedated and hence not as likely to cause a nuisance.
On the road to Damascus, a stranger stopped me to say that if I looked hard enough among the rocks, I would find a treasure worth keeping. For many days and nights I searched, until it seemed in vain to carry on. As I collapsed by the roadside, weary and mournful for what was lost, a little girl walked towards me, reaching out her hand. Together we continued the journey. I shall not lose that little girl again.
I don't want to be my old self. I want to move on. I don't want to go back. I want to move forward.
For me, recovery is about connecting with myself. It's about experiencing a sense of self I didn't think was possible.
I want to be valued for what I can do, not for what I cannot do. I want to be treated the same as everybody else.
Recovery comes from having a sense of purpose in my life. In particular through my relationships with family and friends. Giving and receiving love, that's what keeps me going.
I live a hopeful life. When I'm well, I make the most of my life. When I have bad days, I know with the right support, I have the ability to recover. When I have bad days, I look forward to the time when the good days will come again.
I often wondered who was standing alone beside the stream. I lacked that certain understanding for people in a dream. My outlook has changed. My ideas are rearranged, and I do like standing by the stream.